finance is not like that. It is not a world of gray. It is it's largely a world of black and white, right? You either hit the number, or you didn't hit the number. The number is either 5 or 6.
Yep.
It's like.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Account Management, a Tactical Guide to Success. It has been a very long time since we've been in front of the microphones and now in front of the camera. So you have Fred Fuller here, and I am always here with my trusted companion, the savant, John Brown.
Your wingman.
Yes, we have sung many a song together.
I know.
Yeah.
Your wingman, but we've not been flying together lately, Fred. And I think it's made a lot. We've actually received several emails, no kidding, from people who are listeners who said, hey, kind of get it together and get going again. And so I'm glad that we're being responsive to that finally and getting our act together and starting this back up.
See, when you hear that, you respond, you're like, oh, I better get it together. When I hear that, I'm like, again today?
Right? Yeah, my wife already told me to get. Like 5 other people told me to get it together.
I put dishes in the dishwasher earlier.
Yeah, no, I'm unused to that feedback of getting it together, and so I feel like I want to respond.
We should definitely have a therapy session.
I know, I do.
We don't want to jump right into work. We haven't. How long has it been since we dropped one of these things?
Okay, that's actually a good question. I think it's been almost 2 years. If I'm not mistaken. Do you remember? It's been a really long time.
No, I think it is 2 years. Somebody pulled the podcast up yesterday. I was telling them about it, right? It's so brilliant, and it's part of the reason we're here now.
Right.
But she pulled it up and she could see the date of the very last one, which was 2023. And I didn't see the month, but so I know it's been solid 2 years.
Well, let's talk about why we've taken so long to get around to this. Like what's your excuse?
I was battling a raging case of trench foot. So no, we can't. Is that
it? No, that sounds awful. Like, how did you get it? Were you in the mud somewhere?
I was in the trenches.
Oh, I see. Raging case of trench.
Actually, that's great. I was in the trenches. I was working, man. I was doing my gig, my corporate thing, flying around the globe. Actually, I was incredibly busy with work, and had a global role in sales and flying around the world, and got to do some incredible things, man. Some really cool things. I got to go surfing in Australia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, let me rephrase that. I was in possession of a surfboard in Australia, and I was in the water with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Standing up, the actual surfing,
getting knocked down.
That didn't happen. But yeah, man.
No, you're. For our listeners who don't know this about Fred, he's that status on Delta. I think it's like double diamond encrusted platinum hat.
Yeah. They hand me a pie when I board.
Really?
A home baked pie.
Is it hot?
The pilot. Yeah. The pilot does.
Keep going on that. What? That's incredible. That's some level of status. No, so I think the real answer, the non-funny answer for you is you got really busy with work. You're flying around the globe. You're head of global sales for a large organization. That's like a serious job, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear my excuse?
I want to hear your true reason.
Oh, I quit working and I started a band called Spam Risk. And we've been touring around the country, playing.
What instrument are you playing? This is getting
the triangle.
But not the cowbell.
No, that's
you're not there yet.
That's other people. Well, I'm working up to that, but I'm the triangle guy. We were thinking of naming the band Cud.
So you're the triangle guy. You called them to dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to name the band Cud because it was a cow related band. Yeah. We're the triangle. So that's what that's not what I've been. Just like you, COVID ended, got really busy with work. Those are all of our excuses. And actually just recently switched jobs and took over COO of another kind of payment related company. And so just like you, family, all those reasons. But you and I decided, I think the end of that story is we decided we got to get back to it because we have actually a lot of new content that we want to share, and we want to do a lot of kind of interesting things, version 2 of our book and a bunch of other kind of things that we're ready to get back out there and get going.
Yeah, I think we both we both have some calling to to kind of share some of these experiences,
right.
And so it's really nice to be back in a studio. So
let's talk about that. Like what? Yeah. So this is, you get to see us as well.
Yeah, I'm scared to touch anything in here. Like we've got cameras and
I am shocked how little hair I have left.
You know what? When we came in here, I was like, okay, they're going to have to put a cover on the monitor because I can't look at me.
No.
Like I cannot look at
I want to be a hooded falcon while I'm for this entire experience. Yeah, I don't want to see what's happening. Or like a horse with those little blinders on the sides. Yeah.
You know you just got a new moniker.
The Hooded Falcon.
The Hooded Falcon.
Actually, I'm going to change the name of our band to Hooded Falcon. It's
Hooded Falcon and Cud.
And Cud is the name.
All right. Look, these people deserve better than this.
Do you think? I don't know.
The people in Radio Land listening to us right now, and for those of you on the TV tuning in on CBS, they deserve better.
Yeah,
right?
No, there's no question. Well, but we should mention we're gonna start to do this on video as well. Right. And so we're going to do YouTube, and we're going to try to just kind of expand our reach a little bit, be a little bit more professional. So that's exciting, even though I don't want to look at myself. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, well, I think it is worth stating, with all kidding aside, we have decided we're going to hit the reset button. Mm-hmm. We are going to get back into releasing these once every other week, right? So 2 a month is what we're looking to achieve. We have actually professional people helping us with this. Podium Studios is where we are. Wonderful outfit, great people. Top notch, true class act. Devin Smith and his team here. This is just an incredible facility. So I'm excited to do this and take it up a notch and switch it around a little bit. So today we're going to talk about, this is episode 23, by the way.
Episode 23, yeah.
Episode 23. And today we're going to talk about finance and accounting for account managers.
That's exactly right.
Now, but I'm going to ask you to pontificate and share your wisdom with us. But what's interesting about this particular topic is you and I were having a conversation some time back, and you were talking about that you'd done some research, and I was surprised that you'd done the research just because it didn't feel like an organic thing. And I said, well, that seems, I'm surprised you did that. And your response to me was, when I decided to be a businessman, I knew that I needed to continue to educate myself and absorb all things businessman-like, right? Which when you said it, I was like, what's he talking about, right? Like, what? He's drinking again on the job, John.
Yeah,
don't do it. Yeah, no, but you stop and think about that, and you're like, as a business person, man, woman, whatever, there are certain fundamentals that you should have if you want to really say that you are a business person.
Right.
If you go into a department and you kind of do the thing and you make the donuts every day, and that's cool, right? That's a wonderful living to make. But if you want to have that broader awareness and to truly be sophisticated in the business that you work for and the space that you work in, these things are critical. Right?
Yeah. I mean, kind of the way that I approach operational stuff is like, I tell people all the time, like, I don't, when I was vice president, I used to say this, like, I don't ask a lot of questions because I'm a vice president. I'm a vice president because I ask a lot of questions.
Right.
Like, and, the way that I think about stuff is like, even to this day, and, I think I'd put myself in the category as a relatively senior business person at this point. I'm loath to admit that, but the monitor doesn't lie. But, but I'm still learning new stuff, things I didn't know how to do, right? Every time I switch roles, I'm like, oh my God, I'm learning new things. And so, if you approach it as a lot of businesses, like, I'm kind of learning a new thing and I'm learning how this works and figuring it out. Like, if you approach kind of everything, like if your approach is, I need to know everything in order to do my job, you won't do what you're suggesting, which is how do you grow as a business person, right? Because it's like, it's too hard. Otherwise, you got to approach it like, I kind of know nothing, and I'm gonna learn. And so that's how we are where we are.
And so this is it's an interesting topic because it's it can provoke a response, right? Because it's got numbers.
Yeah. Well,
Right. So the and that response to us or to somebody might be, look, I'm doing this because I don't like that stuff.
yeah.
So you have
I
to
don't want to be the numbers person. That's why I'm in account management or sales or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
but you don't have to master it, right? You need to be like, talk about what do you need to achieve in terms of being knowledgeable and skilled up in this, right?
Well, you don't need to be an expert. Like, so there's the good news. But we're going to talk about 3 things that you do need to know when you're dealing with kind of your finance team as an account manager. So let's say you're a relatively new account manager. Your finance team asks you questions, like they're going to come at it at a different frame from you. So there's kind of 3 things to bear in mind. And we're going to talk about each of these 3 things. The first is their mindset and what that's like. Their mindset is different than yours. So that's number 1. Number 2 is kind of their concerns, what they worry about. And we'll talk about what those things are and what they care about. And then the third is interpreting their output, which is actually, we were joking about that before the episode about all the terminology that the finance people throw out. And so we'll tell you kind of, here's kind of 3 things you kind of should know what they mean. But then after that, I'm going to give you some license you should ask questions as an account manager, because it'll show that you're interested in that stuff. And that's actually kind of important. Those finance people, as I like to call them, they will be pleased that you take an interest in what they're doing.
Them finance. Is that what you just said?
People.
Those people over there.
Well, we should, before we jump into all that, we should both mention we are both those people in a way as well.
Yes.
Right. So talk about your background.
Sure. Came through school with a degree in stats.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody at that time, big data wasn't a thing. So, like, what do you do with somebody that has an undergrad in stats? You have a master's or a PhD. It's easy. You go to a think tank, you go to a lab and you run clinical testing and that kind of thing. When you have an undergrad in stats, at that time, it was a little bit of that's cute. Right? Like there wasn't a demand for that. Like today, coming out with a stats degree,
that's actually be strong.
Oh my heavens, right? You have your pick.
Right.
But so at that time, nobody kind of knew what to do with me. And I was like, well, I'll just jump in finance. And I ended up doing accounting for a little bit and then the FP&A work for a while and then switched and got into account management and into the sales.
What's FP&A? That sounds fancy.
It's very fancy, and that is something that you'll have to tune into the next episode. No, it's forecasting, planning, and analysis is what it is.
It's a subspecialty of finance.
Yeah, it's the people saying what's going to happen tomorrow. Accountants tell you what happened yesterday. Right.
That's a great way to put it. Right.
Yeah. So I got to do that, and I consider that my MBA. Right. It is the most I think critical skill set that you can have if you are going to drive your career and move up the ladder, up the food chain in the corporate landscape. You have to understand the language of finance.
Yeah.
Right. And you were.
I'm the opposite. Well. I'm a little bit the opposite. So my background is I did get an MBA, and so I have what I would characterize as a decent understanding of a lot of financial matters, but I spent most of my career more on the operational side and/or client management side, obviously. But recently, the company I'm at now, I'm actually helping to run the finance function, and which is basically CFO work, right? So I'm kind of coming around full circle on that, and so I've had to like dust off my accounting knowledge. I actually opened up my accounting textbook the other day and like, oh, what is this?
Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, it's a T account.
And
so but it's great though, right? Like, and come back kind of full circle. The place I went to business school is relatively well known for being a more finance-oriented business school, so I'm kind of coming back around to that, and I'm enjoying it tremendously. And learning a lot too.
The place you went to school?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
For an MBA school?
Yeah.
Oh God, I knew you were going to do this. Wharton.
And is it true you guys can divide by 0?
Actually, that is one of the. All right, we're gonna let us explain this. Fred was sending me a text and making fun of a certain Wharton graduate's math skills, and my response back to him was Wharton graduates can divide by 0. So that was yeah.
So I'm going to share with you, and I don't know if you noticed, but I included Brandon Horn, who has been on our show.
Yeah,
a wonderful
friend
person.
of the show.
And I also included my son, who's 25.
I
He
did
works
not
for the
notice that.
FDIC.
Okay.
So I just wanted to see him like, yeah, this is how we jab
I
each
bet
other.
he's pretty
right?
impressed I can divide by 0.
Oh, he spent all night. I was on the phone with
He's
him.
trying to figure it out.
We're getting close.
Okay.
Prime numbers is next. What? No. So I actually,
all right.
listen, I bring that up and I love to bust your chops about it. And I say this every time, like, I think it's an incredible accomplishment. I really am intrigued with, it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, discipline to do something like that. So I always will bring it up, bust your tail about it, but it's always something for me that actually I'm in awe of it.
I appreciate it. But you never compliment my band, Spam Risk.
Because it was Cud, and I'm a big Cud guy, and I don't want you changing the name.
All right. Are we going to get to the topic?
Okay, yeah, let's get to that.
That was a
okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the mindset, generally driven by spreadsheets, generally do not live in the world of gray and relationships that you do, right?
Yeah.
So this is where you're focused on their concerns.
Yeah. So starting with the mindset of the person in finance. So if you're from the account management world, like I worked with an account management leader who she used to say, and I think very wisely, account management is a world of gray. And I think we've said that a bunch of times on the podcast. Like there is not a lot of times not a real clear cut decision. Should I communicate this or should I not? Should I do this or not? And you just don't know. Finance is not like that. It is not a world of gray. It is it's largely a world of black and white, right? You either hit the number, or you didn't hit the number. The number is either 5 or 6. Yep. It's like, it's obviously very, very numbers driven. And so, the kind of step one or the first thing to think about, I think, when you are dealing with your finance team is have a little patience around that and just sort of realize that a lot of folks who come up through the finance function have a tough time appreciating the sort of incredible complexity of client relationships, right? Like, so, as a client manager, you're thinking of things like, how are we doing for them on SLAs, and what's my relationship like with this person, and what's the last thing we messed up for them, and are they still thinking about that? Like you have like this.
You're thinking about the account. You're thinking about the 7 to 1 ratio,
you have a multivariate problem going on in your head, and it affects like a decision that you have to make about whether or not we refund the client. I'm going to make this up just as a number, like whether we refund them $1,000, right?
Yeah.
To the finance person, what they see, like all those things we just talked about, like all those other 22 podcasts, all those things we talked about, what the finance person sees, you gave away $1,000. That's all they see.
Yeah, 100%. Right. And that is reckless. And cavalier.
And what are you thinking?
What are you thinking? That's right. Not understanding that behind that 1,000 is 100,000. And so we can't, the dime is the proverbial, it's the greatest example of the dime holding up $1, right?
Yes.
It's the greatest example of it.
Yeah.
And that is their focus. I always, when we have these type of conversations, I always come back to like the Myers-Briggs, the DISC, all those different trainings, because that actually plays in, because largely speaking, the sort of typical, if you will, right? The majority of the folks that are in an account management biz dev function are going to be your extroverts, right? And your
largely.
Accountants, and they're going to be a little more of your
tend
introvert.
Tend to be introverts.
So you have
can
you can have, that's right, 2 very different personality, characteristics at play there. And so,
but even the most kind of extroverted client facing, finance person on earth, just as a sort of practical matter, all they can see is the $1,000. That's all that they, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, and you don't really have time in your day to sort of like sit there and educate them. Well, it would take you an hour to sit down and describe to them, here's everything I'm dealing with this client.
Oh, right. Like, 100%. Yeah.
And nobody has time for that, and it's just not going to happen. And so, now here's the good news in all that. When you have to make these decisions that actually have a financial impact, and probably the finance team is going to care about negative financial impacts. Any positive financial impacts you bring, they'll probably shrug their shoulders, right?
Yeah.
But the good news is, in general, all things being equal, and I'm not going to say this like it's all the time, 100%, but in general, probably the account manager is going to probably get their way, right? As long as it's a somewhat reasonable business decision. So the implication of those two things together is it is incumbent on you to kind of sit to treat your finance team well enough to do what you should do in any situation, would just sit down with them and explain like why you're making the decision that you're making, and that you care about their opinion enough to share that with them, right? Like, I'm an hour maybe, but you should at least say, well, look, I have some rational reasons for doing this, and here's my rational reason.
So it's interesting because there's a component here of the account manager's job, right, of relationships. Like we talk about that, and it always has this external because we talk about the clients. The reality is it's just as critical to have all those relationships, healthy relationships internally, right?
Yeah. It goes by. I think we've talked about this many times on podcasts. You should treat your internal team like you would your clients to a certain extent, right?
And I recognize that that's hard because when you absorb it all day long externally, you kind of turn around internally, and you need an outlet, right?
You would like the internal people to kind of just say yes, so that your life is easy to get back to.
That's right. Tough. So be sensitive and be aware of that as an account manager, right? Because I have to manage that because
sometimes you walked out of a meeting where the client tore you up and down for a half hour. And then you go over and you have to talk to your accounting team, and you have to make something happen that's good for the client, and they're kind of fussy about it, and you don't have any patience. Like you can't.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm suggesting here is a little bit of patience. It's tough. It's not.
Yeah. It's not. It's not easy. It definitely requires patience.
There's another thing on this mindset piece, which is works a little bit in the reverse. So I've had this happen quite a bit where someone on the finance team, usually the CFO, it tends to be a little bit more this person, is they have something they need you to go do with the client. And it's like their frame on it is just go tell the client this. Like, and it's almost said that way, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, dum-dum.
We've been in many of those.
Yeah. Like, right. Go tell them this. And so you have to sort of kind of nod and go, and a lot of times, let's say, and so here's the classic example is the CFO saying, go tell the client we're raising their prices by 10%, right? Like these guys are priced too low. Go raise their prices 10%. The answer to that, probably if the CFO is right? So like on a pricing thing, if the client is like 10% below everybody else and everybody else is at a certain level, probably logically, maybe you should go fix that, right?
Sure.
So the CFO might be right. So the answer might be yes and, right? But just...
I like what you did there.
Right. Like, so you do have to be a little mindful of who you're dealing with, right? If it's the CFO sort of saying, hey, laying down the law about, hey, what has to happen. So you might want to start with yes, and here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in this time frame. I'm going to make these other three things happen first. Manage the... I have some client deposits that I've been meaning to make, and I just haven't gotten to it. I'm going to do all those first, and then a month from now, I'm going to go make this big client debit withdrawal that we talk about 1-to-7 ratio, other way around. Sorry.
Yep.
Yes and, right? But sometimes you do kind of get from finance like, hey, go tell the client this. You need to don't just run out and do it. You need to manage it, right?
I've had C-levels come to me and talking about, well, the client has asked for this, and I have been told that's stupid. Tell them that I said that is stupid, and we will never do it.
Yes,
and I'm
actually,
like, yeah, right. You will be told that.
Yeah,
and how do you think I handled that, John?
You ran right out and told the client how stupid they are.
Well, I went and got a bullhorn first, and then I ran into their office. I called them and I was like, "Hey, how are you guys doing? Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to get to that today." Right? Like, but you don't like,
right.
You have to absorb all that stuff, right? Yeah, and then when you pass that person again, did you tell them? Have it.
Where you see this, where I've seen this in the past is if you have somebody from finance who kind of grew up in a business where they didn't have to manage clients themselves. So like, let's say there's some sort of banker, like a commercial banker or something like that, or even an investment banker, although investment bankers have clients and, but some kind of profession where you have to be kind of a tough talking badass. Sometimes senior finance people can kind of come from that, and their frame on clients is, just go tell these guys this thing. And right, you have to manage through that, right? Don't, because if you were, let's say you were in front of the head of sales or maybe even the CEO and you told them, hey, I just ran out and told the client how stupid they are because the CFO told me to tell them how stupid they are. The CEO is going to be like, oh, we did what now? They're going to think about that.
Enjoying the podcast but want to learn more best practices for account management? Pick up a copy of A Dragon Walks Into a Meeting, a tactical guide to client management. Available at Amazon or wherever books are sold.
I'll never forget, I might have told the story before on the podcast, I can't remember, but I had a very, 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 very large client. Somebody clever within their organization figured out how to pay their invoice with a credit card, which they get money back for doing that. And so it shaved, I don't know what, 3% off of our invoice. Somebody gave them license. Right. And so our CFO called up that client, very, very, very large client, called them up and read them the riot act. And then I start getting and I'm like the senior, like a VP level kind of client leader. I start getting all kinds of phone calls from all sorts of people, like, what the hell is going on? And I told the CFO, hey, Cud. His name wasn't. I had to tell him, hey, in the future, if you need to deliver a message to my client, I understand that. Can you please call me first? Because I am the focal point of the relationship with the client. And he was like, yeah, okay, yeah. And this is like a really senior finance leader. I'm way more senior than I was at the time. But I reminded him, I am the focal point of the relationship with the client, right? Like, I will pass it along your message, but that you just created a bunch of chaos for me. I had to unwind,
Yeah. Yeah, in the way that you handle that is critical because to your point, I'm not telling you don't have.
I'm not stopping you.
Reach out.
No, you're a C-level leader. I'm not stopping you.
Just give me a shot.
But
give me a heads up.
Yeah, I am the node.
Yeah.
So let's talk to the node first before we.
Yeah.
Then start screaming.
Then if you get that heads up, then there maybe is room for negotiations before they reach back out.
That's really what I was trying to do. That was actually really trying to do. It's like, hey, if you do that in the future, why don't you call me first? And I might be able to talk you out of it because it's really stupid.
Talk you off the ledge.
Right.
This isn't how we run the business.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah. That wasn't good for client relations. Yeah. Very, very bad. So anyway.
You do, man. It really is different needs and expectations. And we could probably do 17 podcasts on finance, right? Because one of the things that I think about when I think about finance, I think about account management and business development. I've been doing this for a long time. And because we've both been on that FP&A, that budgeting side of things, people new to the game go, the manager says, here's your number, go get it. And people new to the game are like, wait, I don't know how I'm going to go get that number. Go get it. The budgets are not made and so that everybody can be comfortable.
Yeah, you got that right.
Right. Budgets are made because they need everybody to stretch and go beyond what they think they're capable of.
Right.
So if you are ever sitting with a comfortable budget, thank your lucky stars and keep your mouth shut because it doesn't happen very often.
No, it's it's every other sort of year or job. Yeah, it's not often. Well, that's actually a good segue into, let's talk about what the concerns of the finance team are.
Yeah.
I think because
well,
a few of those.
We know that, it's all about the P&L, right?
Yeah, well, the first one is revenue attainment, right? That's kind of an obvious one. So you as a client manager, you have a book of business, and so if you have a well-run client management organization, you have a book of business of, again, I'm going to make up a number. Your book is, let's say, $5 million. You're expected to get to $5 million. If you come up short on that, there'll be a lot of questions why. If you exceed it wildly, people will be slapping you on the back. That's part of client management. But different organizations handle that in different ways, right? Like I've seen some that on account managers actually put a quota on the account manager. Others that just say, hey, if you exceed last year by X percent, we'll give you, here's commission money. There's just like a lot of different ways. But in somehow, you have a revenue goal that you're trying to hit. You need to know where you fit into that. So that's number one, revenue attainment, right? It's sort of obvious. That's what finance people care about. No.
There's a secondary component to this that it's a responsibility that aligns with this that I put on to my sales team.
Mm.
So yeah, I was part of an organization, and I'm going to make the numbers up so you can't trace me back, right? But I was part of an organization, and let's say that organization was 70,000 people, and I was responsible for half of the revenue in that organization.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I would explain it to my team is we are responsible for the employment of 35,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I like that.
Because it's not.
I've had that thought before.
It's not just yes, revenue and yes, it ticks the boxes and it's how we pay the bills. But like there is a much bigger responsibility for an organization especially once you have scale, right? Once you get above 50 employees, like you have people depending on you, right? Even at one employee, you have people depending on you. But when you get like it's a responsibility.
You know what I can't get over? That someone would give you responsibility for half the revenue.
Listen, man, I'm the 3-card Monty, right? What? I play the shell game better than anybody, man. You know where the P is? It's in your pocket, okay? Because you didn't see it happening. Like, this is who I am.
Oh my
God.
Unbelievable.
Then let's see here. So with revenue, obviously revenue is critical. But I do like that frame on it of, look, that responsibility is not just about getting the money and then you get the big commission check. It's how you drive the business. You get good money because you drive the business.
No, I think you're hitting on something important, which is really not even an account management thing, which is like, that's actually how I think of revenue is like, hey, well, I want to hit these numbers because like we got a lot of people that work here and I care about them and I want them to, have a good life. And I've yet to meet anybody who tells me that they should be, that they're overpaid and they would like to make more money. That's why I care about revenue. Like it's not, I care about it because I care about people, right? Like, and so business isn't always like that, but to the extent possible, I think
it's a worthy thought. Right?
It's a worthy thought. Right. Exactly.
And then as an account manager, there's invoicing and accounts receivables and things of that nature, right? So it's go get me my revenue, but then there are tactical things of actually getting the money in the door that's your responsibility as well, right?
That's another thing that typically falls under account management is accounts receivable and invoicing. If a client is late on payables for some reason, that's a debit, and it's just and you need to go make that debit. You need to call up the client and say, hey, this invoice hasn't been paid. It's, whatever your company's rubric for that is, 60 or 90 days. Typically, 90 days is usually when people start throwing when finance people start throwing fire bombs.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Rubric. You had me a rubric, man. Where did this word come from and why is it part of my life right now?
I don't know. We should get into vocabulary later. I don't.
Dude, that's another episode. Okay, so you were so eloquently saying in my rubric of
that's it. So accounts receivable, that's another kind of finance thing. They're gonna be so again, but the point with that is again, it speaks to why we talk so much in the book about making deposits with clients all the time, right? Because those withdrawals are inevitable. That's one of them, right? Pricing being the other big one, but you're going to need to get the money eventually, right? So
I think I think there's an element here too of the withdrawals. If you are thinking about it enough that it's a withdrawal, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So there, we'll get back to the ratio 7-1, right? Like that whole thing. But obviously, that's part of your job is to make sure that you have good health in terms of the status of the relationship. And that does include the financials. And then we talked a little bit about me spending some time in FP&A and you're doing kind of the same thing now in that CFO role. And so FP&A plays into the account management role as well.
It can. Yeah. It depends a little bit on your role as an account manager. Like if you're more of a senior leader or manager, you might get more involved in this. If you're maybe kind of brand new or have a small, sort of territory or whatever as account manager, maybe not. But financial planning analysis, meaning basically as an account manager, hey, what do you think you're going to bring in next year?
Yeah.
Right. Like, so you may have to get involved in that and make a projection. And, brand new account managers kind of tend to hate doing that because it's like, because now you're going to be held to it, and and so my advice on that is to come back with what you think is really going to happen.
I agree,
and build up a reputation of doesn't sandbag, but doesn't overstate it either. And it's tough because you will get a lot of pressure to raise that number. But your boss, the head of account management, may be putting pressure on you to lower that number, right? Because so you're getting all these different directions, from different sides. But my advice in general is just really put out there what you think it is. If somebody tries to move you off that, just tell them, okay, I'll move because you are telling me to, but I'm going to tell you, but I want to be really clear. And maybe I'll follow up with an email afterwards that says, here's what I think it really is, right? So.
Yeah, and I think if you're in enterprise sales, like the life cycle of enterprise sales and the ebbs and flows, right? Like if you're selling to a top 5 bank, it's nothing uncommon to have a conversation where you're like, yeah, it's going to close next week. And 6 months from now, you are still having the same conversation, right? Mm-hmm. So there's an element like don't count the chickens before they hatch, because you may think that you'll smash your whole year in Q1 and you're going to be on the road to riches,
yeah.
And that Q1 will very rapidly become Q3 if you're not careful, if you're lucky, right?
Yeah.
So there's that whole component too of like, yeah, man, like just write it. Don't get too vocal either way, right?
Yeah.
But definitely have a position.
Yeah, sure. That's why I advise try to do what you really think is realistic, but you'll learn over time. There's one other, I think, concern that we should talk about as it relates to financial professionals that is very important as an account manager, and probably the way that you interact with finance the most as an account manager. One of the ways is guess.
Through the cans on the string. No.
Expenses. That was going to be your second guess.
That was my second guess. Yes. Expenses. I was actually fixing my microphone, and I think I've now destroyed. I've destroyed this fine studio already.
I'm already embarrassed.
We're not going to get invited back.
No, probably
not.
No, this video will go right into the proverbial trash can on the Windows desktop.
Into the can. Yeah.
Expenses. We talked we had a whole podcast where we talked about travel and expenses and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think we're going to repeat all that here, but same advice is always treat it like it's your own money and what would you do, right? So sometimes you get in a weird situation where it's like, I'm late for the meeting. It started raining. The car that I called didn't arrive, and I need to get a raincoat, and I got to expense it. Sometimes you can go above on expenses. When you get in a weird situation, you can explain it and justify it.
Yeah.
But every time I travel, I have to stay at the Four Seasons. No, that's probably not going to wash.
No,
unless you're an investment banker.
Yeah, I mean, there's an element of, look, every company out there has a policy.
Right.
Honestly, know your company's policy,
right,
and follow the policy. But I think absent of a policy, to your point, like treat it like it's your own money. Right?
Yeah.
Listen, and I will tell you, for me, I'll give you a really good example of where you can spend a lot of money and save a lot of money, like taking a direct flight versus doing a connection or two, right? Mm-hmm. Those connections can save you a lot of money. Well, that's where I start thinking about my time and the value of my time, and me spending 4 hours in the Fort Worth, Dallas airport, or whatever. Like I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And if it's worth that much to the company, then maybe we're not aligned on the value of my time. Right. But so that's one where don't be silly. But then, I've been in jobs where, you can fly first class internationally, go in, I book the flight late, $25,000. I'm like, technically I can book this. I'm allowed to. Did I? No. But I'm like, that's obnoxious. Right.
Yeah. The flip side of that is be very, very, very aware. You may think that nobody is looking at your receipts because you never get any feedback.
You're wrong.
Wrong. They are being looked at. You may not get any feedback, and I've been in situations where associates were very known by finance to take liberties, and they were kind of a little bit on a list, And nobody said anything. The finance team was kind of like, we're just going to let it go because it's not big dollars, but they knew. And I can guarantee you when that person slips up in some sort of way, that's going to be used against them, right? And so if you have weird stuff on your receipts, trust me, they are being looked at.
It will come out. It will come out at the worst possible time.
It'll come out at the worst possible time, right?
Yeah.
You're having a bad year, bad quarter. Oh, hey, by the way, Fred's, his receipts have had a chinchilla coat.
Chinchilla. Is that Corinthian leather? Is that the same thing?
It is a lining of Corinthian leather on the chinchilla coat. It's called a Chinthian.
Is that an
coat.
animal?
It's a Chinthian coat.
A Chinthian.
Yeah, that's
listen. I don't start with your science crap. Okay, don't do this to me. We're in a studio. I'm nervous. I'm sweating. It's hot. It's hot, and I'm hungry. And I'm hungry too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let me tell you. You know where you are with me. sorry, John. So after you now understand their concerns and you understand their language and what makes them tick, there's an element of interpreting the output, right? Like so. Walk me through that one a little bit.
Think about finance team are you still laughing about the chinchilla?
I'm laughing because we have cameras on us and I'm talking to you and I'm scratching my head like a monkey and I'm like, he's going to hit delete as soon as we walk out.
Yeah. That's going right in the Windows trash can. Actually, in all seriousness, it's very important if you are a non-finance professional, if you are an account manager, to actually understand a lot of the not a lot, but a little bit of the terminology of the finance team. And so I'll tell you 3 that you need to understand what they are kind of right off the bat. And then I'm going to suggest maybe learning some other things. So the first is what is a P&L? P&L, you hear the word P&L.
Mm-hmm.
P&L, it sounds like a banana peel. No, it's a P&L. You hear
P&L.
nonstop. What is a P&L, Fred?
Profit and loss.
Profit and loss statement. Right.
That's right.
And what is it essentially?
It's your income statement.
Right.
Yeah.
What all is in it? Like as a general?
Numbers.
A lot of numbers.
A lot of numbers. There's columns and rows. No, it is. Look, it's the scorebook, right? Here's how much money we've made. Here's how much money we've spent, and can we continue to be in business? And if those numbers come down at the bottom and they're in the red, well, then you are going to have to make some tough decisions. If they're black, go forth.
Yeah,
Prosper, right?
it's the simple addition and subtraction of how much money did you make and how much money did you spend.
Yep.
And it can be a little bit more complicated than that, but that's kind of basically it. So you'll get that thrown a lot. So you need to understand what that is, and you need to know kind of how it's doing. Another term you're going to get thrown around a lot, which is a kind of sub point within the P&L called EBITDA.
EBITDA.
What is it, Fred? Tell us what EBITDA.
EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Right.
Now, the fact that I knew that off the top of my head mortifies me. I have a great story about EBITDA.
Please tell us.
Okay. I had a senior finance person, and this was back in my finance days, and the senior finance person had put together the story, right, the P&L, and had listed EBITDA as a line item. And I was looking at that. So again, let me restate what EBITDA is. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And I'm looking at that, and I was looking at what was going into the calculation, and I saw that interest was being included in the calculation. And then I saw that amortization was being included in the and I said, this is EBITDA, right? Now I'm this person's junior by 5 years or whatever, right? And I'm kind of debating, like, is this the right thing to do? But I was a little bit younger and reckless, and I was kind of like, I actually don't mind if it upsets them because I'm reporting to somebody that I'm now educating, right? So I said, do you understand what EBITDA is? And she said, yeah. And I said, okay. And then she said, well, what do you think it is? And I was like, you don't know what it is, or else you would have told me. And I said, it's earnings before attention, blah, blah, blah. And you have those things included in the calculation up here. And there was about 4 other finance people standing around, and they all looked at each other like, oh, wow. Like, wait. But what was shocking is nobody else was thinking like the purest definition of that calculation is just by you look up above and see if any of those items are included. Right. And so there was just this moment of, wow. So there's another component here of finance team is important. You need to work with them. You'll get to a point in your career where you will help them understand their job if you do this right. Because if you've been doing this for 25 years and you've got an accountant that's 5 years out of college, I actually hope you do know more than him or her, right?
Yeah. And EBITDA, knowing what it is really important because if you think about it, it's kind of the scorekeeping number of a business, right? Because, you as an account manager and your sales team and all the commercial people, marketing, all the commercial people who run a business, like if you think about what EBITDA is, it's everything you don't have an impact on, right? So you don't control taxes.
Depreciation,
you don't
schedule.
Yeah, you don't control depreciation and amortization schedules. Right. And we should probably just mention what depreciation and amortization are really quick. I don't know if you want to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad to do that. I mean, depreciation is when you buy an asset, a building, it depreciates, or a computer depreciates over, let's just say it's 2 years. And so over 2 years' time, you write that off as a kind of a sunk cost, right? So and this gets into the guts of accrual-based accounting versus kind of like cash-based. And depreciation and amortization to me are very similar, right? Because amortization is taking a big chunk of money that you spent on something, but then spreading that out over time because you get value of that expense over time, right? So that's the whole idea behind the amortization, is spreading that cost out over time so that's properly reflected in the proper periods. And then the depreciation is simply writing off of assets because that asset doesn't hold its same value.
And if your business is profitable, those two things can actually affect taxes, right?
Right.
Like, so you have all that. Anyway, so earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, and interest is another thing that you, as a commercial person in your business, really don't control. So those are sort of the four things that like you don't. And there's actually some other things that can go down what are called below the line as well, meaning their expenses for the company. They might come out of cash, or depending, they may not. But there's stuff you don't control. But so anyway, why does everybody care about EBITDA and why do they talk about it? It's kind of what you own as a business person. Like it's the real results of the business. And then B, it's what you tend to get valued on if somebody comes in and is thinking about buying your company. Right. So that's the number they go look at. So why does that word get thrown around a lot?
Multiples. Right. Yeah. And then here's another one. And this probably is a little bit lower on the list, but it's still just, again, it's just important to be savvy, right? And so the next one is net present value.
Net present value.
Yeah.
Which you need to understand conceptually, but it doesn't really come up too much in the day-to-day business. Fred, what is net present value?
I'm going to let you take that one.
Oh, you want me to describe it?
Yeah.
It is the present value of future cash flows.
See, I knew that what you would do is give it like a succinct thing, whereas I'd be like, it's kind of where, and I know what it is. This is the problem that I have, John. I know what things are, but the crisp articulation of them, it escapes me. It evades me. So look, I think we're coming up on time, man.
Articulation, that's the big word.
That is a bit, it's at least.
You're quite the sesquipedalian today.
Polysyllabic sucker.
All right. So you don't really, we'll wrap this up. Net present value, you need to understand what it is, which is basically this idea of a lot of finance people will think about things in terms of not so much, they will value something. Net present value is actually what you use kind of more or less, sort of not really, but a little bit, to actually value a business. So like, let's say I have a business that produces $100 a month for the next 12 months. Well, that $100 in month 12 from now is worth less than the $100 that I get today. So there's a formula, and you figure out what all of those cash flows for those next 12 months are worth, and you bring that back to the present day. And you say that all of that makes the business worth this. It's important anyway. So that's important to understand conceptually. It probably doesn't come up much in the day to day. I think for these three things we talked about, I think the summary statement is, you may find all this stuff really boring if you're an account manager and you love doing client stuff and being with clients. And I get it. If you find it boring, I'm not going to argue with you about that. But what I would say is, when you're in a meeting with finance and they throw a giant spreadsheet up on the screen, show some interest. Ask questions. Now that you know kind of the super basic words that they're going to throw out, ask some questions to refine your knowledge. Like, how does this number result from that number? And what is that number called? What is cost of goods sold, right? What does that mean? There's a million other finance terms we did not talk about here because we're not going to bore everybody. But just ask questions and just show a little bit of interest, right? And that finance team will love you for it. And oh, by the way, you might learn something, right?
Well, there's not a person in the C-suite that doesn't know it.
They know it,
right? They know it. Everybody there knows it. And even and probably 2 layers down from that, people have a command of it. And so that's more than anything, well, not more than anything, but one of the big takeaways is if you want to move up into those stratas,
those kinds of jobs, you better know something about it.
Will become the requirements. And don't wait until you get close and then say, well, now I'm going to learn it. Absorb that stuff all day, every day.
And just because they put that giant spreadsheet up on the screen, don't let that freak you out and you don't engage. That stuff, trust me, it is addition and subtraction. It is not that complicated. It is
It's
not. We are not computing
derivative
a physics equation. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a linear equation. Trust me. So
I got to tell you, it's been great to get back into this.
This is great.
Yeah, this is really nice. Again, Podium Studios, what a facility.
I'm looking forward to doing more.
Cold water.
It's delicious.
It's cold water that they give us is delicious.
Yeah.
So Podium Studios is absolutely phenomenal. Check these guys out. Look them up online. Great people, great facility. John, it is absolutely wonderful to be back in this thing with you, man.
I'm so glad we're getting back to this.
Taking it up a notch. So back out to the audience. We're gonna hit this thing hard. We're gonna get a lot of content out. We're gonna hit the podcast. We're gonna have some blogs, a lot of blog material, and kind of white papers and things coming up. So we are back in the pool in a meaningful way, and we hope that we're providing you with the content that's helpful. So please reach out to us. Do you remember our email even?
No.
Okay, we're going to go learn our email. That's so embarrassing. We're going to go learn our email, and then you can get in touch with us. Until then, it's a mystery, and we're incognito. But for the incredible, the glorious, the beautiful Mr. John Brown, you have Fred Fuller here, wrapping up episode 23. Thanks for joining us, and we can't wait to see you again.
Learn more about the art and science of account management. Pick up A Dragon Walks Into a Meeting, a tactical guide to client management. Digital and print editions available at Amazon or your favorite bookseller. Fred and John would like to hear from you. Leave a comment for us on YouTube and head over to fuller-brown.com for more great content.